Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sports Stuff video. Today, we are talking about the Cleveland Browns and their offseason plan I've built out for them to go from the number 6 overall pick to a playoff team. So if you guys don't enjoy, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let's get into it. Now, as a residential Cleveland Browns fan, it's pretty tough for me to do this because I was trying to be fair, give reasonable contracts, reasonable extensions, while also trying to build for the future and move on from players that make sense to be moved on from. Obviously, Kevin Stefanski was fired from the Cleveland Browns. He's now in Atlanta. So what do the Browns do at head coach? So the first coaching hire is going to be head coach. And I'm going to do Nate Scheelhaase. So the reason with Nate Scheelhaase is we've been very, very slow to hire a new head coach, right? The Mike McCarthy's, the Jesse Minters, the Jeff Hafleys, a lot of different coaches have been hired in the last 2 weeks. The Ravens, obviously Jesse Minter. The Giants and the Falcons got their coaches as well. Why are the Browns going so slow when we were one of the first teams to have an open position? I think it's because the Browns are, one, looking for a very young offensive mind, and two, are waiting for playoff teams to lose their coordinators. So Nate Scheelhaase cannot be hired away until after the Rams are eliminated from the playoffs. There's a reason that the Browns have let a lot of the different guys go and get signed elsewhere. As of now, the only people they've interviewed in person are Nate Scheelhaase, Grant Udinski, Jim Schwartz, and Todd Monken. Those are the only 4 candidates that they've interviewed that are still open on the market. And they've been very slow to schedule second interviews. I think it's because they're waiting for Nate Scheelhaase to be eliminated from the playoffs with the Rams so they can sign him. He's been the pass game coordinator the last 2 seasons in LA. He's planned the passing game for this season's MVP in Matt Stafford and possible Offensive Player of the Year in Puka Nacua. Again, the Browns have been very slow to hire a head coach. I think because they're waiting for him to get fired. You have to wait till Rams lose the interview in person. He's very young, but he doesn't have a lot of experience. Unlike when Sean McVay got hired, he was 30 years old, had been the coordinator for Washington for 3 years. This is different. Nate Scheelhaase has definitely been in the NFL for 3 or 4 years, but only the last 2 has he been the pass game coordinator. He's very young. And I think that's something that the Browns are definitely looking for. I believe he's 35 years old. He's a former offensive coordinator for Iowa State, so he has led an offense before. But again, it wasn't a great Iowa State offense. I think they were ranked 75th in college football. But again, Nate Scheelhaase, he's 35 years old. I think a more interesting hire would be Grant Udinski. But the way they're being very slow and purposely waiting for Nate Scheelhaase to become available, I think that is the hire that they're going to go with. So they're making sure all their guys take their time. Especially with the Buffalo Bills firing Sean McDermott, they already interviewed Grant Udinski. That's already been scheduled that they're going to interview him. So that tells me that the Bills, I think, might go more with a Grant Udinski type. So Nate Scheelhaase, as the head coach of the LA Rams, what is he going to do for his coordinators? I'm going to go with offensive coordinator Eric Yarber. Eric Yarber has been a wide receiver coach since 2003, and he's been with the Rams since Sean McVay took the job in 2017. He's been with McVay every year of his career, and I do think that's something that's Nate Scheelhaase is going to want on his staff, is someone who not only knows the type of system he wants to run, but that he knows very well, and he's known Eric Yarber his entire NFL tenure. He helped Sean his first-time young head coach, and can do it again with Nate Scheelhaase. He's developed many different guys, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and he got in the most out of Devontae Adams, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Deshaun Jackson. A lot of guys that have come to LA have had career years and career stretches, and Eric Yarber is a big reason for that as well as a scheme. So I want Eric Yarber to be the wide receiver coach and offensive coordinator for the Browns, and Nate Scheelhaase is the head coach. Defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. I think we got to keep this defense intact in every possible way. And I do think there's an agreement between Jim Schwartz and the Browns that if he's not the head coach, he at minimum will stay on as a defensive coordinator. And this is a Super Bowl winning caliber defense that Jim Schwartz has built. I want him to keep every single staff member and every single assistant. It's been very impressive how in all these defensive coordinator openings, no one on the Browns staff has been interviewed for any of these openings outside of Jim Schwartz for the Browns head coach. No one else has been requested to be interviewed, so I think that tells me that Jim Schwartz and his staff, no matter what, are staying in Cleveland. And Andrew Berry and ownership have already requested that he stays to guys that they have interviewed because they've been interviewing a lot of very young first-time head coaches. That's something that I think has already been agreed upon with the guys that they've interviewed and Jim Schwartz, that he is staying no matter what, whoever is the head coach. Then for special teams, I want to hire Michael Grobriel. He was the current New York Giants, special teams coach in 2025. Wow. His kick return unit was 6th in the NFL in yards, and I believe also attempts. They had 4th in return yards, 44 returns of 20 plus yards, and 1 of 40 plus. It was only his second season as a full-time coordinator, so I could see him being a highly coveted young coach. As far as I know, none of the new staffs have hired Michael Gabriel to be the special teams coordinator. So if I'm the Browns and we just came off of a disgusting Bubby Ventrone run, I think Michael Gabriel will be a really good hire. Again, sixth most returns, fourth most in yards, 44 returns of 20 plus yards. That is all stuff that you want. And again, I think it's something that the Browns desperately need with their long history of returners being in NFL history. So going on to the cuts and or trades, we are currently negative $14 million in cap space. Next year is positive 118. The year after is 170. So the first cut I'm going to do is Cornelius Lucas. Last year had a 43 PFF grade, 37 pass blocking, 55 run blocking. He was a whiff of a left tackle signing. He was meant as a depth piece, but due to injury, started very early. He allowed 28 pressures in the first 3 weeks allowed. That's not good. That's not good. And in 3 weeks, you allowed 28 pressures. He's going to be 35 next season. I think we need to completely reset this offense, especially this offensive line. So I want to get younger, clear some cap. I'm going to cut Cornelius Lucas and save $3.2 million against the cap space. Again, we just don't need a 34, 35-year-old left tackle. That is a turnstile. Not going to happen. Then for restructures, I'm going to restructure Deshaun Watson as they've been doing every single season of his tenure in Cleveland. Restructure to open up $35.7 million in cap space. And I'm going to restructure Denzel Ward and open up another 13.5. So I open up $50 million in cap space with those two moves alone, leaving me at positive $38.4 million in cap space before we do any re-signings or extensions. The first re-sign I'm going to do is David Njoku. Last year had 33 receptions, 293 yards, and 4 touchdowns. In my opinion, he's a Pro Bowl level tight end when healthy. Hasn't re-signed yet, in my opinion, as 2026 offense is in limbo. You know, when it was Kevin Stefanski that was going to be the 2026 head coach, I think it was agreed upon he'd return. But now you have Harold Fannin, who just had one of the best rookie tight end seasons. Your next head coach will be like, you know what? We don't need David Njoku. I'm going to run 11 personnel most of the time. I don't need David Njoku. I only need Harold Fannin. Or you get a head coach who goes, you know what? I do want to run the ball a lot. 12 personnel would be awesome. Let's re-sign David. So I think that's what they're waiting for. This offense does need as many receiving options as possible. Right now, there isn't that many guys on this team that you would want to keep long-term as pass catchers. But David Njoku is a great run blocker, still a good pass catcher. I would like him to return. And on top of him returning, if he does return, he currently has a $24 million dead cap hit, no matter what. If he's on the team or not, we're counting $24 million of cap space to David Njoku. So if I re-sign him to this $12.5 million cap hit, it lowers the cap hit $10 million. So I'm going to sign him to a 3-year, $43 million deal, $19 million guaranteed at 44% guaranteed. $24 million cap hit, again, that's a really big number for a tight end. So if we just re-sign him to a pretty good contract, which it makes him top 10 paid tight end in the league, we save $10 million in cap space. I'm going to do it every single day of the week. Another guy I'm going to do every single day of the week for the exact same reason is Wyatt Teller. Wyatt Teller last year had 62 PFF grade, 53 pass blocking, 66 run blocking, 4 penalties, and 3 sacks. This offensive line is definitely a massive issue, but Wyatt is definitely the strongest link of guys that could return. We're paying him $10 million in void money no matter what. So if I'm going to pay him $10 million in void money, I'd rather pay him 10.5 to actually start for us. He's still an effective run blocker, and I can't have all 5 new starters on the offensive line. That's not realistic. You got to have some carryover, and then 2027 is the year where you make it a big move and you officially have a new line. But Wyatt Teller, I think a lot of the issues that stem this season were Kevin Stefanski and Wyatt Teller having a lot of disagreements. We saw when Kevin Stefanski got fired, his wife went on social media and talked about some of the issues that Wyatt was having. So I think with a new head coach, there's a very high chance Wyatt Teller might return because him and his family are very involved in Cleveland. They actually send out Christmas cards to fans of the Browns. If you sign up for their Christmas card, they send you cards. So I think they actually do really care about Cleveland. And I do think there's a chance he can return with a new head coach. So I'm going to give him a 2-year, $25.5 million deal, $15.5 million guaranteed at 61%. Again, already paying him $10 million to not play with us. I'd rather pay him that exact same amount of money to actually play for us. Next, to be Ethan Pochik. Ethan Pochik last year had a 64 PFF grade, 62 pass blocking, 63 run blocking, 2 penalties, and 2 sacks allowed. He's a solid starting center. You know, he's probably middle of the pack when it comes to starters. He did tear his Achilles, so I think he's going to have a very large market outside of Cleveland. We're paying him $4 million in void money already. Same exact thing with Wyatt Teller. I'd rather pay him that exact same amount of money and just return and be the backup at worst for the Browns. And we've seen Luke Whippler has shown no development thus far, and he also has a torn Achilles. So I'm going to give Ethan Pochik a 2-year, $10 million deal, $4.5 million guaranteed. It's 45%. It's a 1-year deal, saying, you know what, Ethan, you can come back. We're going to pay you $4 million in void money to not play for us. Might as well pay you 4.5 to come back and be a body on our offensive line. And in case the next center that we draft or sign isn't good, we know Ethan Pochik can be relied upon. So that's a pretty good deal for Ethan Pochik to return to the Browns. And a few more signings. Again, I don't want to do 15 pages of signings, but this Browns team has so many free agents that I just don't see leaving the team. So Devin Bush, for one, had a massive 2 years in a row of breakout seasons. He's going to get an extension for sure. I'm going to give him a 3-year, $24 million deal, $13 million guaranteed at 54%. He is the best run defender on this defense, whether it's corner, safety, linebacker, D-line. He's the best run defender. There's no way that Jason Tarver, the linebacker coach, or Jim Schwartz are going to let him go. Mohamed Diabate is right behind Devin Bush. He's been integral for this linebacker core the last 2 years when JOK went down, and then with Carson Schwarzenegger's rookie season. Mohamed Diabate has been the biggest, quietly underrated linebacker in the league. Great run defender, good coverage, and great special teamer. Then I'm assigned Tevin Jenkins back as well to be our starting guard. Towards the end of the season, when Wyatt Teller got benched, Tevin Jenkins is the one that took his snaps. And Tevin Jenkins did a pretty good job, so I'm going to sign him back to a 1-year, $4 million deal. Martin Emerson tore his ACL in training camp last year, missed the entirety of the season. I think bringing him back for a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. Say, hey, Martin, it's you, Tyson Campbell, and Denzel Ward. That's our 3 corners. And in 2027, you can go out and go elsewhere and get a bag from someone else. But we want to at least give you that other chance to get healthy, show the NFL you still have value. You don't have to learn a new defensive scheme. You stay with Jim Schwartz. You come back healthy. You have a great year, and you can have fun making money elsewhere next year. That's the play I'm doing with Martin Emerson. Then some tags I'm going to be doing is Winston Reed, another very valuable linebacker in the special teams unit. Malachi Corley, it's interesting to see what kind of offense we're going to run, but Malachi Corley for $1 million. He's a very athletic wide receiver, and he fights hard for extra yardage. I see that being an easy day 1 tag. Then Andre Schmidt, our kicker, had a great, fantastic season after week 1, so I'm going to give him another chance. I'm going to give him a 1-year, $1 million deal. Then Ronnie Hickman, our starting safety. Again, he had another fantastic year, 3 years in a row for the UDFA. There's no chance Ronnie Hickman's on another team. Ohio State, born and bred. He's staying in Cleveland. I'm going to give him a 3-year, $17.5 million deal, $9 million guaranteed at 52% guaranteed. That is a dude who in the secondary has been healthy, has been consistent, and just does his job. I think that would be a great signing to sign back to this defense. So again, most of these are defensive heavy. Martin Emerson, Mohamed Diabate, Ronnie Hickman, Devin Bush. Those are the 4 big signings that I don't really want to make pages for. It's, really quick adverts. But that is to be all my signings I'm going to be doing. So moving into the free agency, you get positive $42 million. Again, that David Njoku signing really saved us because it added $10 million to the cap space. And we're going to use that money for sure. That money is absolutely being used. And the first signing I'm going to be doing is for a left tackle, and that's Rasheed Walker. Rasheed Walker last year had a 65 PFF grade, 70 pass blocking, 55 run blocking, 9 penalties, and 5 sacks allowed. In my opinion, Rasheed Walker is a tier 2 starting left tackle in the league. He's not someone that you want to sign to a $40 million contract. He's not gonna be a top 5, top 6 paid tackle, but he's someone that he could stick into the Pro Bowl once or twice in his career. He solves the biggest need on offensive line, and this team desperately needs a left tackle, and he's the best left tackle on the market. If Alaric Jackson last year came into the market instead of going back to the Rams, I think this would have been the exact same deal I offered him. And him and Alaric Jackson, I have on the exact same level of left tackle. He doesn't need to work on his penalty issue, but again, that's something that you can solve once he's on the roster. We need a franchise left tackle, and we get that Rasheed Walker. He gets a 4-year, $75.5 million deal, $43 million guaranteed at 57% guaranteed. That would be a monumental move in the right direction. You solve left tackle. You can now go into the draft not worrying about left tackle in the first 1 or 2 rounds. Maybe that's a round 3, round 4 backup draft pick you go with, but now you don't need to draft someone in the first round like Caleb Tiernan, like Austin Sareveld, or in the second round. Really, you don't need to focus on it. All you need to do now is know that left tackle for the next 3 years at minimum is solved. So that'd be a great hire. That'd be a great signing to make this offensive line take another step in the right direction. Next is going to go with Kendrick Bourne. Kendrick Bourne's been a very underrated wide receiver this year. He had 37 receptions, 551 yards, and 0 touchdowns. It's another big body wide receiver to this short room. I think only Cedric Tillman is above 6'1" in this offensive wide receiver room. Kendrick Bourne, big body, 6'2" or 6'3". He finds soft spots in zones, and he wins in man coverage as well. He can be the chain mover, what's it called? It's a power slot receiver, where it's a bigger body, bigger frame wide receiver playing the slot. Match up against linebackers really well. He's shown success in many different schemes and many different quarterbacks with both Mac Jones and Brock Purdy. He showed up this year. So I'm going to give him a 2-year, $11.5 million deal, $3.5 million guaranteed to come to Cleveland and be our power slot receiver who we can rely on as that big body chain moving threat. Because Jerry Jeudy, Cedric Tillman have been so unreliable this last year and the year before, really. I need Kendrick Bourne to come in and set a floor, right? Be the guy who can get those 7-8 yard catches consistently to make sure this offense doesn't get clogged up and slow down. Next up is signed DJ Reader. DJ Reader last year had 18 tackles, 0 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, 15 run stops, and 20 pressures. Browns were very involved in his original free agency when he went to Detroit from the Bengals. They were one of the teams that are heavily pursuing him. He could be a run-stopping specialist. I do think Shelby Harris does leave the Browns, whether it's for retirement or a different opportunity to try and win a Super Bowl. I do think Shelby Harris does walk away. So DJ Reader would come in and replace him immediately. He has lots of starting experience. He won't be too expensive due to his tenure in Detroit, kind of being overshadowed by injury and the defense overall, just constantly dealing with something. So DJ Reader, I'm going to sign him to a 1-year, $6 million deal to come to Cleveland and be that rotational D tackle who can, while he does generate pressures, I think he'd be a great replacement for Shelby Harris. And so he can just, again, elevate the floor of the D tackle room that continues to get better with Mike Hall, Mason Graham, Aiden Huntington, Malik Collins. DJ Reader will be the last guy in that room. Next, we have Nick Chubb. That's right. I'm bringing back Nick Chubb. There's no way we can let Nick Chubb retire, not a Cleveland Brown. Nick Chubb this year has had 506 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 4.1 yards per carry. He proved he still has gas in the tank. I don't think he's really a starting running back anymore, kind of like what he was kind of being relied on in Houston. But I just can't let him suit up anywhere else again. I thought him leaving originally was a joke and kind of a failure by the front office. But I do think he's proved that he has gas in the tank still. A new coach, so he can be that vet voice in this offense. And another hard-nosed runner. I would have him as the backup to Quinshaw Judkins. Then you have Dylan Sampson, Raheem Sanders. That's your 4 running back group. And listen, man, I can't let Nick Chubb play anywhere else again. I'm going to always mock him coming back to Cleveland. 1 year, $2.5 million deal to be that vet voice in the offense and to kind of, one last chance to try and win a Super Bowl. It's not going to happen, but it's one of those one last gasps for Nick Chubb in Cleveland. Finally, the last signing I'm going to go with is Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs this year had 55 receptions, 764 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He led the Green Bay Packers in all those categories in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. He was a security blanket for Jordan Love, and I just don't think they're going to re-sign him, right? They have Jaden Reed. They have Christian Watson. They have Matthew Golden. They have Dontavian Wicks. They have so many wide receivers. I just don't think they're going to re-sign Romeo Doubs to a number that Cleveland can beat. And I do think that Matt LaFleur, Sean McVay type of offense where it's a gunslinging quarterback, I think that fits their system or what the Browns are going to want to do with Nate Schulhatz. And Romeo Doubs has played in that his entire NFL career. So I do think it's a great fit. I'm going to give him a 4-year, $43.5 million deal, $24.5 million guaranteed at 56%. Get your wide receiver too. You have Jerry Jeudy, you have Cedric Tillman, you have Isaiah Bond, but this was a big focus was solve left tackle and add wide receivers on top of whatever you're going to do in the draft. Romeo Doubs and Kendrick Bourne elevate the floor of this wide receiver room so much that now Jerry Jeudy, while technically he's getting paid, no longer is needed to play. If he's having a bad game, you can bench Jerry Jeudy because you have Romeo Doubs, you have Kendrick Bourne, you have the draft, you have Isaiah Bond, you have Cedric Tillman. It's no longer relying on Jerry Jeudy, so not only does he benefit because now he's not getting double teamed as much, but also the pressure of being the wide receiver 1 is off of his shoulders. So, moving to the draft, you're now at positive $24 million. That is still a lot of money to go into free agency. If you want to add another corner, add another linebacker, add another offensive lineman, you still got a little bit of money. But I want to go into the NFL draft with as much cap space as possible because I'm going to do a lot in the draft. So here's what I do with the draft. Boom. Boom. What I do at number 6, as you can see, there is a trade in there. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. At number 6 overall, I think the Browns are going to go with Francis Mauigoa, the right tackle from Miami. Mauigoa, he's proven me wrong and completely shut down opposing edge rushers in their postseason run. I was not the biggest fan of Francis Mauigoa. I've been pretty open about that I thought he was more of a guard in the NFL, but he's proven me very, very wrong. The premier pass rushers, he did a great job of shutting down. And in the national championship, there was one specific play I remember where Carson Beck rolled out after, the offensive line did a great job stopping any pass rushers. He rolled out. Francis Mauigoa still kept up with Carson Beck and mauled another dude to let Carson Beck let off a throw. So my opinion is completely changed of Francis Mauigoa. He's my right tackle I want in the Cleveland Browns really badly. He has shown up when the lights are the brightest, and I think he'd start day one at right tackle. It'd be him and DeJuan Jones battling it out. But I do think Francis Mauigoa would win that battle due to being a first-round pick. He's a 6'6", 315, great pass blocker, a mauler in the run game as well. Now you have Rasheed Walker at left tackle, Francis Mauigoa at right tackle. I would move happily into next season knowing that your 2 tackle spots are solidified. Then at number 2, at round 2, number 39, I'm going to grab AJ Halsey, the safety from LSU. Yes, I understand you have Ronnie Hickman, who you just re-signed. You also have Grant Delpit, who's a great strong safety. I want this Browns defense to invest even more in the secondary, though. We saw this year, once injuries started plaguing this team, we did not have the depth necessary in the secondary to really make a real run at winning games. Unfortunately, both Chris Johnson and Keith Abney were already drafted in this mock draft. So I said, you know what? I'll take a safety, right? He's played nickel corner at LSU. He's a versatile safety, elite free safety prospect. In certain sets, I think Ronnie Hickman is actually better as a free roaming strong safety, and Grant Delpit can play that sub linebacker role and lay the heavy hits he loves to do. Grant Delpit's also an elite rusher off the edge, and this allows more of that. AJ Halsey now allows an elite, rangy free safety, allows Grant Delpit to move around more, kind of like what Kyle Hamilton does. That's what it allows Grant Delpit to kind of do in his shades of. It's always good to have as many elite DBs as possible. He has great speed. I actually do think there's a chance AJ Halsey sneaks into the first round, but I think he's definitely more of those first 15 picks of the second round of guys who could be first rounders. Then the big trade. Now, I did this. I'm a little weary of it. I don't know if it's actually going to happen due to a new head coach coming to Arizona. I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is actually a selling point for that job in Arizona. But I decided to trade that number 28 overall pick from Jacksonville to the Arizona Cardinals for Marvin Harrison Jr. and number 65 overall to go and grab ourselves a tackle. So let's talk about the move. The Arizona Cardinals obviously are entering a very tough period of their franchise. Everyone in the NFC West is in the playoffs. 2 of them are in the NFC Championship game. Very, very tough. The question is, would you rather have entering third year Marvin Harrison Jr. or at number 28 overall to try and get even more help for this team, right? Marvin Harrison Jr. hasn't really developed. The second half of this season, he definitely played better with Jacoby Brissett, but is Kyler Murray the quarterback? Is Jacoby Brissett the quarterback? What do the Browns do at wide receiver? I think this is a gamble by both teams to try and get better. The Browns, they trade for a third-year Marvin Harrison Jr. They also get a third-round pick back. But the Cardinals, all they really did was get 2 years out of Marvin Harrison Jr., didn't really work out, and you still get a first-round pick back out of it. Yes, you slid back 24 picks from when he was first drafted at number 4 overall, and you swallow that, right? But I think the different head coach, I don't know if they actually would do this, but the Browns to get a young prospect, possible wide receiver 1 for the team for the future. And the Arizona Cardinals, they can still keep a first-round pick, and they can go and get another guy at a different position. But the Browns get Marvin Harrison Jr., and most importantly, at 65, they also draft Austin Sareveld, the left tackle from Ohio State. So they take another swing at a left tackle. You have Rasheed Walker. Austin Sareveld does not need to start right away. He can sit for a year or 2, get ready for the NFL, and if he can beat out Rasheed Walker in year 2, year 3 training camp, awesome. You now have a great problem. You have a great left tackle in Austin Sareveld, a good left tackle in Rasheed Walker, and a good right tackle in Francis Mauigoa. That's amazing. You would love to have that because you can always flip Rasheed Walker into another guy, right? So I think this would be a great swing for a possible future at the left tackle position in Austin Sareveld. Then at number 70, I'm going to double dip at offensive line. I'm going to grab Jake Slaughter, the center from Florida. Slaughter is going to be an open competition for starting center in camp between Jake Slaughter, Ethan Pochik, and Luke Whippler. And I do think that they would lean more for the rookie because they want to rebuild this entire offensive line. If the rookie's even keeping up with Ethan Pochik post ACL tear, they're going to go with Jake Slaughter. He has lots of starting experience as he's an older prospect. He does everything you want a center to do. I think it makes a lot of sense at number 70 to reach, grab your center, and now 3 of the 5 offensive line spots, you now have future aspirations of these guys could be the answer for the future. So I think that'd be a great spot to be seen in entering the next season. Then at 107, I'm going to grab Skylar Gill-Howard from Texas Tech. Skylar, another depth tackle that allows the Browns to move on from Malik Collins in 2027. He's a great pass rusher that generates pressure. He has dealt with injuries this year, so I think he will slip down to the board due to it. But the future of Mason Graham, Mike Hall, Aiden Huntington, and Skylar Gill-Howard, that's a D tackle to be very excited for. We've seen what the Eagles did with their D tackle room, constantly investing in it, constantly getting better. And I think the Browns could do the exact same thing in grabbing Skylar Gill-Howard. Then at 139, grabbing Bryce Lance. He's a big body outside receiver. He had back-to-back seasons of over 1,000 yards at NDSU, an average of 21 yards per catch, which is insane deep ability. And he had 641 deep catches, which was ranked 4th in college football. He's 6'3", 209. It adds another weapon to the room. I think the Browns need to get bigger, faster, and just more athletic wide receivers, and Bryce Lance is the exact stab in the dark at that. I don't think he lasts around 5. I think he definitely goes day 2. I 100% see someone at the end of round 3 just going and grabbing Bryce Lance, saying, you know what, we know he's really good, we're going to grab him just so no one else can have him. And I think that'd be a really great get in the 3rd round, but, you know, because it's PFF, it's all mock, I'm going to grab him in the 5th and be very happy with it. Then at 144, I'm going to grab Davison Igbinosun from the corner from Ohio State. Davison, he's a solid corner. Another depth piece where we definitely saw in 2025, once corners started going down with injuries, we were very razor thin in the cornerback room. If Martin Emerson struggles back from his ACL tear, if Denzel Ward misses a game or 2, as he always does, if Tyson Campbell misses a game or 2, you have a 5th round rookie who you really can rely on. He's played slot and boundary corner, so that's versatility there, and he has good ball ability. Not the best in the draft, but definitely someone that if a ball's thrown his way, he's gonna have eyes on, he's gonna have his hands on it as well. Then at 147, I'm gonna grab guard Kobe Baines from Kansas. Kobe, he's a backup right guard, nothing crazy. With Wyatt Teller returning, it gives you a depth piece for the future. As we all know, Zach Zinter is not the answer long term. He has been god-awful in the minutes he has played. He can swing the left guard as well if needed due to injury. But again, his best shot at a future starting position is at right guard behind Wyatt Teller. So Kobe Baines in the 5th round, there's a backup, and maybe someone in the future, if he improves, you can rely on at the right guard position. Then at 205, I'm going to grab Dalen Bentley, the tight end from Utah. He's the exact amount of tight end that Andrew Berry loves. He's a great run blocker with lots of talent in the passing game. He beat tight end 3 behind David Njoku and Harold Fannin. Definitely, I feel like it's more of a Stefanski-era pick, but I think Andrew Berry is very similar to Stefanski. There's a reason they worked well together, is that they want to run the ball, and they want to get play-action passes out of the run game. So Dalen Bentley, run-blocking tight end who can catch passes in the red zone. That's what you want in the 6th round. Someone who can play a role and play it well. Then at 248 in the 7th round, last pick of the draft, I'm going to go with Bryce Botcher, the linebacker from Oregon. Backup linebacker, or replacement for Jerome Baker in the run game. He's good in coverage. Again, we have aged veterans on this team that I just don't see coming back on another 1-year deal. Bryce Botcher can come in, replace the 1-year deal that we gave Jerome Baker, and play a very similar role. So that's my mock draft, Francis Malgoa at 6, AJ Halsey at 39. You trade 28 for Marvin Harrison Jr. and 65. Austin Saraville, Jake Slaughter. I am a very big fan of this draft. It gives me a C+, but I do think this is one of the better drafts that I've actually put together for a team. And this is a projected depth chart, right? At quarterback, you had Shedeur Sanders, you had Dylan Gabriel, you had Deshaun Watson. I am not messing with the quarterback room right now. I think in 2027, that's when you make a big swing for a quarterback. But I do think in the draft, we're going to sit at 6, take a guy. And in free agency, I don't see us going after Malik Willis. I don't see us going after anyone crazy. I think the most we would do is maybe a Marcus Mariota signing. But at that point, I'd rather have Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel, with Deshaun Watson being the 3rd emergency quarterback. That's where I'm at in the quarterback room, is let's just run it with Shedeur Sanders. If he plays well, cool. If he doesn't, we have 2027. At tight end, you have Harold Fannin, you have David Njoku, and you have Dalen Bentley. At running back, you'd have Quinshaw, Dylan, Raheem. Then you add Nick Chubb to that room. At wide receiver, you then have Marvin Harrison Jr. as your wide receiver 1, Romeo Dobbs as your wide receiver 2, with Isaiah Bond winning out that slot receiver role. Then you have Jerry Jeudy as a backup, Cedric Tillman as a backup, and Malachi Corley as your backup. Then the fringe roster guys would be Kendrick Bourne, Bryce Lance, and Gage Larvin. Again, I don't think Gage Larvin would make the team. If a cut is coming at the wide receiver room, it would be between Gage Larvin and Malachi Corley. I think the other 6 guys are bona fide, 100% making the roster next year, because you want to have as many wide receivers as possible for a Nate Shieldhouse passing game. Then the offensive line, left tackle, you have Rasheed Walker, left guard, Tevin Jenkins, center, Jake Slaughter, right guard, Wyatt Teller, right tackle, Francis Malgoa. See what I mean? I just don't think we go all full 5 new starters. I think you can bring back Wyatt Teller and be pretty happy with it. Then the backups, you then have KT Leviston, Zach Sinter, Ethan Pochik, Kobe Baines, DeJuan Jones. That's your 5 backups. Then Austin Sareveld and Luke Whippler would be guys that would probably make the roster. But again, if they're going to cuts that are going to be made to, make certain guys fit the roster, I think Zach Sinter could get cut. I think Luke Whippler could get cut. And I do think KT Leviston would be the 3 guys in the offensive line that would get cut if they get really close to that 53-man roster. Those are the 3 guys I don't see making the team. Then at D-tackle, you have Mason Graham and Malik Collins. That's your starters next year, with Aiden Huntington and Mike Hall backing them up. Then for situational plays, you have Skylar Gill-Howard and DJ Reader. Then at defensive end, you have Myles Garrett, Isaiah McGuire, Cam Sample, and Alex Wright. So basically the same group we had last year is going to be the same edge group we have this year. Then at linebacker in a 4-2-5 defense, I do think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is coming back from injury. There's been nothing saying that he is not coming back. So I think JOK is going to come back and be our starting linebacker next to Carson Swessinger. Then the linebacker room is Devin Bush, Mohamed Diabite, Winston Reed, and Bryce Botcher. I just realized I put Mohamed Diabite on there twice. So 6-man linebacker room, that's pretty good. All of them can play a role. All of them can play certain situations, with obviously JOK and Carson leading the way. Then at corner, Denzel Ward, Tyson Campbell, Martin Emerson, with backups in Dom Jones, who actually played pretty well in limited snaps, Miles Harden, who did not play well in limited snaps, and Davison Igbenison, who could be that backup with the rookie that, a little bit of interesting conversation in the corner room. Then at safety, Grant Delpit and Ronnie Hickman are your starters, with Donovan McMillan returning and AJ Halsey added to that free safety room. I really like this team. I think this defense, while it's not as deep as it was last year, I think in the positions that matter, in D tackle and linebacker, those are where this Browns defense absolutely need to be deep at, and that's where I have the depth. Then on offense, there's depth everywhere. Again, if this roster is not 53-man compatible, which usually whenever I do these predicted depth charts, I do it for a 53-man roster. But if not, obviously I accidentally added Su Mohamed Diabites. I think KT Leviston, Zach Sinter, Luke Whippler, those are the 3 on the offensive line that will get cut. Gage Larvin and Malachi Corley, they could get cut. And I do think there's a chance that Raheem Sanders could get cut as well. Seeing how he wasn't a draft pick for the Browns, he was a pickup. So that's 8 guys right there in this roster that I do think could get cut. But if this is 53-man, it doesn't look a lot for a 53-man roster. If this is compatible, I'd be very happy with this entering next season. So, yeah. If you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of my Browns offseason plan. I really like it. This is definitely a team that, if quarterback play can improve, can absolutely win 8 or 9 games. But if the quarterback situation does not improve and Shedeur runs it back as he did this year, this is at most a 6 wins team. But with Nate Shieldhouse, Jim Schwartz, that's an interesting mixture. Again, if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.